mean, hopefully I have time to win. I think I will.
How do you do it?
Wait, did
I
Connor
have
send
to
this
watch,
thing?
I don't even know. Berkeley MR and something else. I don't know who they're using. Oh, Georgetown.
It's good. I can do it all.
So good.
I want to watch this one.
Pop in for the one I don't know. And then leave.
Hop in?
Pop in for the one.
The webinar? Shout me out, man. Oh, wait, I got poop jokes for days if you want.
We need them.
Should we sit?
I have no clue.
There's outlets back here.
Okay.
I don't know where you're like can speak for, but there's no other outlets in your house.
There's an outlet
Oh,
right
right.
here. If you want to like pull up another one and sit like over here. My computer's at 82, so I don't need to charge it.
I don't think I need it this round. I just don't know what would be convenient. Margaret's an AP.
Cool. I'll take this.
Oh, let's go.
I'm right down the hallway.
Yeah,
You're
you gotta
screaming
pop
from
back
over
in
there.
That stuff's a little too expensive
Oh, nice enough.
for a case.
Yeah.
Do we need the only problem is the only outlets over there.
I'm fine.
That's what I
I'm
would
fine. guys are Narnia.
Are you all good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Planning the 19th federal government to substantially strengthen collective bargaining rights for compensated data workers in the United States, advantages data economy, current data markets, responsibility, and social goods, CBSC, with the grant of President AI, law, 25 billion markets, delivery, power, values, access, capital, market, probably market, with the economic propaganda, resulting capital, singularity, meeting rights, service, and participant, advanced knowledge, law, people, technology, product, insurance, customer, so like function, like human creatures, CBS, all about human creatures, powers, laws, coalition, rights, for reduce, concern, revenue, facility, negotiation, for competition, offers, more data, company, data, system, for data, companies, will trust, one, release, a little better, data, market, list, research, market, people, more high quality data, when they have without money, without producing info, extinction from, monopolistic, all in, if you don't see that, allow systems, safety, checking, misuse, important, cutting, with 25 on, present concentration, large pools, capital, increase on limited benefits, and knowledge flows, access, capital, open source, distributed in the pool, capital, delegates, decision making power, rights, and power, agencies, beliefs, regular shoppers, made ability to drop tomorrow, hard, doesn't have one, legal, instabilities, like government, stuff, structure, middle types, every process, liaisons, non-set ways of production, as a world, rule, training, leadership, conflict, divide, demand, tools, will, into all, into public power, governmental actions, more like states, actually, increasing our representatives, knowledge, production, project, versus model, becoming more paper, distinct, our challenging, capital, clarity, trim, safe, assess, concerns, accountability, achievements, in charge, addressing, catastrophic risk, mitigating, power, available, measure, team risk, requires testing, auditing, data, meters, leverage, info, value, performance, risk, reactivity, quickly solves market concentration, even small, participation rate, solvents, 21, the ZDC, the short term agreement, working, domain, change, and obvious, and return, small, contribution, using, performance, DC, relatively small participation, rate, to establish 20%, and participate, get released, for the best case, performance, small competitor, and best guard bills are required for ASH losses, 25 bargaining costs, by guard bills, unions, moderate area, with company with limited resourcing, on workers' rights, first step, optimization, employers, workers, and strong signal, working the deadline, safety, employees, control, whether employers, had no make groups, equal performance, the same way, on for capital workers, and public disclosures, externally, AI, driven social disruptions, accumulate unpredictably, and cascade to extinction, conservated 25, extra so AI, conventional, based on event, cause our artificial general superintelligence that exhausted accumulate over time, we results of that system propaganda, this has become fragile model, proliferation, transcending failures, propagate via interdependent failures, combined with force that effects via completed reversal, facilitational cloud, and current data market facilitate next gen by weapon development, extinction, structural 24 by security, most significant because of really detailed data, challenge, machine mobility, to seek new and restoration, knowledge, barriers, scoring, geopolitical, competitive pressure, influence, if you have manipulated information, detecting patterns, or stated with, transforming them, term out of resistance, identifying model gain, the concept of immunity therapy, concerning the gene viruses, research, development, model, them do not get activity, laws, such as straight up, disabilities, very ability to use opportunities, allergies, disability, long based AI, supervisors, naturally high short BDs, able to design model, to design foundation model, very trained based on broad range of along with cloud multi-model data, and not taking into their risk, guide catastrophe, CVI, creates feedback loops, and maximize data, stop size, very 25 Back strategies, more usually in the data and output libraries, smart experience, added to value, more issues, diversity, timeless, continuous to learn, everywhere, and people, effects, right, stability, oriented innovation, no long single from that general solution, coordinate actors, data connected to innovative, efficient, equal participation, resilience, enabling ecosystem, innovation, development, for developing more users, tables, diminishing marginal opportunities, by emphasize scale for quality, reinforcing whatever takes all scale, type of resilience, problems, with bridge attacking, drone system drivers, environment, this leads to the types of info service, functional, and digital alignment, transformation, planetary boundaries, all network effects, which are negative externalities, scale, papers, whether investing in interoperability, infrastructure, innovation, partnership, transparent governance, worker, aligning activities, optimize solutions to emergent existential risk mitigation, which addressing any external threat across organizing information, AI will avoid all impacts of climate change, predicting results in temperature, recommend charges, make agriculture, production, energy production, more efficient, help us, well-known accidental threats, actual strikes, impacted day-to-day, outward, forcing danger, important governments, not paying out potential low probability risk, resulting in large scale catastrophes, otherwise synthetically generated data, undermines model performance, how 24 disparities, and statistical attribute drives environmental single market investigation, there are parts of the data using kinetic generation, data capacity, after eliminated, losing models, utility, and accuracy, divergent, internalized, or pattern influence, bias predictions, synthetic data set, like more than interesting, new data, synthetic generation, oversimplify, and ability capture noise, culminating in affection models, against this situation, general models, graphics, that getting into performance, data models, information, dissemination, involved in dimensional impact, security, and security, capture models, do not complex the world, increase likelihood of seven, but security, challenges, legal compliance, regulatory requirements, control models, synthetic base, difficulties, many standards, data quality, the strongest predictor for hallucinations, God 25 high, quality of hallucinations, that will benefit the awareness and rate, increase sense, God basis, like healthy rights, law, and rights, regulatory, and church, and applicants, and rights, requirements, important, and limiting trust, us with proxy, human interactions, these are not operating, GDS, research, knowledge, building up some knowledge, of what data is, things like data, about these models, high quality data, seemingly low, hallucination, more hallucination rate of 3, which was compared to 94% of noise data, extinction from accidental nuclear use, and escalate for battlefield tactics, clear 20 feet, this is market good hallucination, with all the catch up, active duty, musical, humans, this possibility, if you draw make decision making, and accident control over, come up, and the word possible DOD developing US data products, and engagement, DDC, to enable the and by starting targets for the government, open cases, target class, and exercise, one body agency, to order intent, one modern training, to world tax, and flash force, human extinction, now building cable, and developing the state hallucination, results, generally, hallucinating, hallucinating, enemy attack, launching a war, the administrative platforms, after TVI, platform clouds, is inevitable, it's in 25 level, how to straight to be more divine, because it's important to believe in people, but it's the action, and one fault, all the modern one in the world, is very little free countries, usually data center, and that's what cost, the active one, to come back from choice, and British contribution, why people visit, and type of strategy, because the answer, you decrease self-distortion, using quality jobs, sleep, carbon country, people inside out, persistent packaging, pressure, management, self-production, logic, to go, down addressing, activating, consortium, crucial people, 25 user, generating content, training, contribution, reducing output, policy makers, non addressing, concern, fair conversation management, innovations of past policy, users, instincts, one time to solve, point self, data, data, unintended, FX, trusted intermediaries, and complex transactions, lease data, use, just train data, to use variety of and also about 28% using availability data on web pages, select, about quality, synthetic which allows human content to rate, performance leading, model clubs, and vertical evidence, compensation, includes quality and quantity dipping, points to disrupt creative intelligence, quickly from society for clubs, and program 25, power applicating human experience, creatively, leaving thread, non-plan, packaging, left, just what, reuse can be too late, just something measures, you want to information, giving information, short up, and stuff, that translates to clubs and boxes, enable communicate message, effectively, alien progress, and devaluing humanity, overall work collaboration, generative AI, media, and French, statement, narrative, mobilized lines, and brain, taking mind inside, conversation, declining, creative intelligence, opens up the existential Pandora's box, saying, one thing, goals, content, reviewers, and agriculture, pandemic, non-tech innovation, power reduction, heat adjustment, performance, we can pressure, collective decision making, produce ability, resisting actions, or the ability to perform variety tasks, all from inclusion, negotiation, mathematical, moral, group social interaction, more fun, against skill, map, sales, water, season, performance, option, development, users, around average, perform better, communication, individual, delivering, discover better, incident, related, individual, gather information, important, forecast, predicting, increasing needs of water, crisis response, risk of occurring, natural, limited damage, survive, and rebuild, specifically sustainable biodiversity management, all the pair, 21 states, not especially sustainable, social media, important to recruit, retain, train, biodiversity, conservation, awareness, and meeting, November, publication, 78% opportunity, collect data, freaking literacy, and society, and plus, passing, recall, finding species, tracking migration, techniques, certain organs, and assessing water quality, and people gathering one place, collaborative, communication, managers, of water, way conversations, except for success, science-based, data, 30 countries, citizens, science marches, more than 1/3 use, platform, biodiversity, clubs, cause extinction, so sound 21 exits, and 5, and then we generate water, food, self-energy, balance, shipping, with the health, cycles, clubs, and Eastern High Country, more local jobs, the United States, fighting for the race, that's the demographic clubs, from the most environment, thinking messages, working population, experience, only to catch up transformation. Finally, solvency, the plan, strengthens collective bargaining rights, providing safe harbor protections, which solves 25 potential creation, as we touch the economies, info coverage, show factors, the control, capture, forces, such as leading market action, leading centers, testing, negotiation, data, use, and data, obligated, more foreign requirements, future conversation, FTC, data, safe harbor, engagement, same only stakeholder, invention, producer, bargaining power, not valid, agent, production, the rules have the advocacy, president, research, media development, and responsible, data, model, company, certain races, gender, process, social, which makes service safe for more, allowed, what economic, social, property, transmission, data, operative, physical, collective, relations, trusted data intermediaries, the reception of antitrust, crackdown, shows union formation, business plan, you see, is it, most times, more than additional collective bargaining, or review, received anti-competitive information, producer, has it organized, here's antitrust, consequences, ability, antitrust, let's see, aligns AI innovation with workers, creating mutually beneficial outcomes, 25,000, and 1800 data rates of 50% down, to information, and enforcement, mutual work, loyalty, shelters, and innovation, disruptive, rewards, originators, data yield more than 40%, no transaction data for open market, only 6 countries, revenue share with contributors, defects, and actually source, has experiences, maximum, has experience, utility, combining data source based on country utility, facility formation, data union, tracking, easily, development, practitioner, do access, existing high one process, unity, performance, by design, experience, data developers, good practice, data models, develop, union share, line confidence, and developers, contributors for data union, driving, sharing, long term, fair, and not reluctant to participate, intermediaries, creative viability, while type consolidation, feedback, strong point, feel, every time, investment, compromise, quality over investment, causing market, taking data unit, addressing efficiency, compensation, unfulfilled cost incentives, investment, data collection, mobile, and intrusion, trade, trust, data, user, selling, performance, data units, price to enable collection, raise data, price level, relative laws, fair benchmark, data over collection, interest, and help workers, overcome complexity, foster maintain to realize case organization, that demonstrate quality, and navigate the complexity, without a nature, world, and collective bargaining, quality, certification, career development, exactly what unions play, collective intermediaries, how strong bargaining leverage, opportunity, little fun, different back, power, algorithms, marginalizing, and federal development, use data share, with parties on the units, how much strong bargaining, use, price, self-management, lose data, prime, units, alternative, that value, compared to the use of method, power, machine, policy, structure, poisoning, certainly active data, contribution, better service, black, practice, skill, parts, user, pressure, parts, users, coordinating, from scope, special, comprehensive, active data, workers, Williams, 22 of corporation, electric, split, labor, not able, for the fair, harbor, technology, market, calculations, way, then, research, analysis, more, leadership, power, the workers, in the cross geographical label, organizing, the anti-racism, laws, workers, evaluate, responsible, solidarity with one of the population, knowing how workers in other locations are committed, issues, inspiration, for local, non-organized unions, working in one location, advocating for careers, counterparts, large, how you protect CEOs, and advertising, high-income employees, who can top competitors, alternative legal avenues are comparatively worse than the plan, and so none of the case can point to collective bargaining, most sensible mechanism, and trust limited, active back and inspection, only labor market, and network effectively likely market power, persist, alternative approach, have power shares, redistributed goals, improve the efficiency, workers and vendors contribute to the market, labor laws, economically productive. CBI prevents ineffective and restrictive regs, I-25 solution phase limitation, GDPR protection, strong not alter, power balance, direct control, recycling, innovation, likability, data, cooperative, advanced, optimized data.
Mark that at optimized data.
Okay, good.
Let me get a supply. And
So,
yeah,
do
Molly
you want
send.
this card?
Just send it, but I'm not gonna wait for it.
Yeah, comes in.
Okay. A compensated data worker, is that like some content creator that gets paid by their platform?
Yeah, content creators and software engineers that are paid by platforms in the status quo.
Okay. What are they bargaining over? Are these workers like demanding compensation for giving up their data?
Yeah, they're demanding compensation and also bargaining over the ways that their data is used. There also is economic incentive for those companies to pay them for higher
higher quality data that they produce, which solves all of our arguments about model class because it's being trained on low quality data in the status quo. The plan provides an incentive for higher quality data to be produced.
Why is the second thing true? Higher quality data to be produced?
Because the plan allows content creators and software engineers to bargain over their data. That process of bargaining includes bargaining
But
over
why
the
wouldn't those
quality
workers?
of data.
Why would those workers want money off even their low quality data?
Well, that's the point. They wouldn't receive as much money from low quality data. They would receive more money for high quality data. So there's an economic incentive to
But
produce
they'd
higher
still
quality
get
data.
some money from low quality data.
I don't know the exact amount, but it would be like very minimal because it wouldn't be of any economic it's the
But the
price
high
of
quality data,
market.
that
There'd be
the
no
good stuff
economic-
is like pretty expensive then.
I mean, probably yeah.
Okay, what is platform collapse?
Platform collapse on the first advantage is talking about how AI systems in the status quo are trained on very, very low quality data, which makes the collapse of AI models inevitable.
What makes data low quality?
Because people are producing junk data in the status quo, and the AI market is so monopolized and concentrated in a few companies that are just
What's
farming
junk data? What's that mean?
Junk data are things like, I don't know, like random likes or like spam posting on like Twitter and stuff like that.
So
that AI models are being trained on.
Why can't AI models continue to be trained upon those after the plan?
Well, because there would be an economic incentive to produce higher quality data, which they would then.
I get there's an
train on.
incentive to produce higher quality data, but why can't the companies
We've
still
read
use the
evidence that
cheaper
will
bad
happen.
data?
We've read evidence that people will produce higher quality data post plan.
Okay, how do we know that data markets are monopolistic?
The Vincent card is talking about how in the status quo, like the AI companies are monopolized in just a few companies. Like I don't know.
How do we know? How many companies? What makes it a
It's talking
monopoly?
about OpenAI, like Google, Anthropic, like are having a monopoly over the entire systems.
Why do they have a monopoly?
What do you mean why? Because
Why is it the case?
because they are the ones who are doing the majority of data scraping and have built up their companies. I'm confused on the question.
So if it's like they already have
to you like the three big companies that have control over data is the reason that they're monopolies. Like
our evidence specifically says that they are monopolies. Like that's just the truth. Like I don't like you can.
because they have market share.
Like,
They
you
have the
can-
greatest
so
market
well,
share.
why would the plan create market share for other smaller companies?
Yeah, because it collapses the ability for big companies to be able to control everyone's data. Because
Why are big
pricing
companies doing
data
that?
means
Why are
that
big
they
companies-
now have to spend, I'm answering your question, because they now have to spend money in order to get it, which lowers their like overhead profit margin, which
Wait,
makes
so
it
your
easier for
solution to
smaller
monopolies
companies
is to make everyone pay more money for data?
No, because the point is that individual bargaining units to be able to price things differently based on the firms that they're giving it to.
They sell their data cheaper to other companies?
Yeah.
Well,
Why would they do that?
The intermediaries are the ones who are.
Why would they do that? They
negotiating
would-
on behalf, and
They would get less
are
money if they
losing.
did that. Why would they do that?
Because it supports things that are socially aligned, right? Like you would want to give your money for cheaper if they were like going to solve every disease ever.
Okay, 1.5%. The order is 6, the data advantage, the platform advantage.
Nice, it's 6, right?
Correct.
I just looked at
Yeah, I'll
Okay. Are we all good?
Wait, hold on. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Panel. Awesome. First off, it's substantially workers full set allocating other workers, these all employed persons. That's 163 million, O'Neill 25 and 22.5. One of the students has 63 million Americans who suffer from employment. That means the AFF cover 82 million workers prefer labor specific evidence. Southern District of Texas 24 regarding specific NYB, the term substantial events comparison to the parts of the whole events Texas comparison is substantial part of the whole because the majority according to California violation. The AFF is well short color. 23, the first representative in the U.S. provided solid counting the number of creators in the U.S. creators are those who account to contribute themselves to the creator influencer and receiving a funds to come to their cash service. There are 27 million in the U.S. Vote NEG 1 limits any sector, company, a shopper, federal agency or office or individual, and the worker is an AFF that skews debate in favor of the AFF. Second ground, this is the wages topic. Only large departures from the NEG, give the NEG economic and political disagreements which are core. Labor predictability. 3, labor education. 3, predictability. Strength of right is determined by number of workers covered against infringement. Brennan. And 95, how is strength of right determined the number of parties involved in an infringement scenario. Next off is the courts counterclaim. The federal judiciary should update the doctrines to reflect the compensated data. Workers in the United States have the right to collectively bargain. The executive branch should defer to that interpretation. Not South Korea. 18, courts are determining the future of workers. Supreme Court rulings will be felt by every worker in the United States. United States court shape the world of work. This is especially true for people who have the actual participating in collective bargaining and competes. Congressional action is a topical mandate. 2 ACS to answer every word. Reward the NEG for starting competition early. 1 strong rights Christian. 14 in order to be a strong right is essential duty. Clearly specified in law. That's only Congress, Supreme Court in New York. 07 expression as required by law. As required by law. As a law of the state. Frequently they are always used as referring to and statutory provisions only, not the core school scene. 21 laws expressed by the legislative will is not a singular case. 2 is CBRs. They are statutory strengthening and requires legislative modification. LG. 13 CBR CBs as statutory mandate is that association between the employer and collective bargaining is subject to legislative modification for protecting the employees' rights. Bargain 3 resolved its legislative LSA. If a legislative instrument used for state policy uses resolve 4 substantially is present time shepherd and idea substantially is in real time the present time courts. Violating hazard 20 in the court and normally hands out big cases in June the court. Traditionally hands the mind hands this month top. But its next office of midterms decides save action will not pass now if it does its widespread voter disenfranchisement and a permanent GOP pattern. 311 Trump's holding Congress hostage over state because black voters decided the midterm tried to escalate the demand for the Congress to save by threatening to refuse to sign the legislation until it's enacted in court. Could determine the control of Congress state requirements that every circles on in front of black voters 21 and million like proof of citizenship citizen to the effective written new requirements that and matters of political survival depends on states beyond as a single election cycle Trump's political survival depends on area. The election labor reform can only pass Congress through horse trading on unrelated issues. Barty 24 Congress views labor as putting a diversion based on the labor has made labor reform impossible lawmakers horse trade labor policies to achieve other objectives. It's a plan for save action quid pro quo Gordon 323 save the state driving the broader agenda Republicans getting voter IDs are really hard to have to make this a priority because it's not legislative priority for Trump David. What they're trying to do is legislative to go old-fashioned horse trading to get the piece of movement horse trading. How did that has to happen if you're going to get something done on number 2 sides or on the corners? Democratic win blocks the Golden Dome Cox 25 the Pentagon and space industry are capable of producing a Golden Dome if it is feasible and expensive, but we can prioritize it with the technology possibility and I may not be politically as fit to decide about 2026 midterm election of the House of the so they're going to put extra money in the budget for the Golden Dome with that name. Golden Dome is existential horsing. 1127 the Golden Dome is not useful for defeating nuclear hard problems remaining on a 15-year horizon. The system will cost 3.6 trillion. And also over 20 times the price. That's why Trump did because after the Iran still playing fighting defensive sector on proven past experiences yesterday. The miracle solution time will be literally immutable. Golden Dome will step in military significant sciences and engineers who would otherwise solve environmental public health problems and the ability to deal with the greatest of our electrical dome accelerator nuclear arms adversaries make that airplanes based on the idea of the Golden Dome. It just work between airstreams have offensive forces based on the suburbs may not be able to block wars, but it should be capable of taking out satellites. It was targets by escalation that would lead to the use of nukes. Next, office T workers or workers worker provide services for enumeration is directly controlled by the employer control. 80 workers survive by 8% who furnish service for enumeration is subject to an employer controls essential for determining a worker. Data workers are neither paid nor controlled by service providers. Kim and 20 data workers data work passive sides are independent contributions like billion search issues and are uncompensated, but NEG 1 limits treating every instance of providing work as value means every social interaction and subset of the worker of excluded ground or topical second ground decides require increasing protections for laborers, not consumers. Next off is the AI decided US leads the AI race now, but the plan could flip various field 26. The US leads AI race, but it's never been more on center policymakers. Since America does not squander its lead, Beijing wants to see China become super models are cheaper to develop in China to maintain its lead. The US wants to create an attractive environment for AI regulations that enable the innovations that's happening over regulations types of growth. AI might resemble a bubble with the status quo that will, but in the status quo that will accelerate progress under investment triggers. Innovation losses Wilkins 315 AI bubble could be good. There are two kinds of bubble good ones like the .com about like 08% good bubbles accelerate progress. The others under investment when the dust settles society benefit AI. And when even if money ends up in the blender, the plan collapse the AI industry are at a bar at 18. Internet economy began with the venture capital fueled bubble in Google and Facebook turning advertising and user data accommodated users certain data and in exchange for free services actually persists the value of such data product. AI services has written powerful interest in maintaining the scope sirens server benefit from free exchange achieve availability user demand compensation and range setting drastically reducing profits. Licensing surges prices consolidates monopsonies and it is a enforcement nightmare which turns case noble. Requiring licensing makes valuation prohibitively complicated and expensive and impossible to identify and negotiate with millions of owners and text over the internet requiring authorization of elements competition companies now that have their own trove. Handful of companies control data they may leverage or control to destroy competition for giant companies that can pay privacy licensing deals locks in dominant position creating prohibitive barriers to entry to develop a foundational model that developers need trillions of work copy this open internet. There's no feasible way to identify all those right holders. US AI lead prevents decisive Chinese military dominance at extinction entrepreneur 24 super intelligent comparable only when you said this, you could be dominant teams by blames a lot of many scientists smarter than humans and investing new tech the 9 decades of military side. Tech CP superhuman side hacking paradigms can imagine that we need to full increase in the advantage every state on the goods and constraint of additional mobilization of Western arms that keeps on with a full target we face full authority Chinese HGI. A dictator will superconsumption AI law enforcement surrounds lie detection controlled by a single leader. A super intelligent could lock in power as a secret of the democracy of China sees China such a world order advanced ideals of perfect reality nuclear arsenals increase within the magnitude of the greatest US and how the US may almost leading enforce safety challenges we can build and attitude to use for humans and makes it difference only assuming we have no margin for safety it becomes clearly useful when the real ideal China comes to the table that after avoid last additional military attempts. Advantage 1. Unions only care about their own pockets, not wriggling. Velasquez 25. The unions are engaged in effective bargaining, focus on short-term advantage. The workers instead of blocks are planning effective bargaining is directed because that forces the union to bargain in response to the management. Unions cannot bargain over anything other than the members' direct interest. No bioterrorism. Blue and 20. Bloom 20. The technical challenge to the weapons by the agent and instrument of Al Qaeda IS spotted the South Asian agents and non-succeeded pathogen to be isolated. Disseminated is difficult as well to advance training in biology. Isolating the agent requires a significant expertise in a safe and controlled environment. Dissemination relies on a large number of infection perfect conditions, safe programs, and 8 years of testing all that good so the specific resources for the stable environment and patients. There's no scenario for accumulated social disruption. Pay Walsh 25 scenarios require aging critical productivity responsibly after safeguards that they can from hacking and similarly bad actors mainly order DNA competition keeps collecting intel and check there are no competition between the Apple and Samsung. But good as a thing, their evidence does not say extinction civil collapse is a buzzword. AI will not launch a nuke research. Ultimately, I cannot physically understand control with WMDs for humans with natural checkpoints on autonomous weapons would be dangerous to use. With or without super intelligence, no NEOs impact or if 20 to 95% asteroids bigger than 1 kilometer that found properly if impact falls on 120,000 for asteroids between 1 and 50 kilometers with 150 million for those other resources that should eventually almost all asteroids have been tracked right now. There is international global NASA funding has increased to a typical level essentialist as well as handled warming is constraining Han 26 emission lower more solid projection population of soil and cameras and carbon intensity decline as well to energy transition for the sources adaptable substitutes assumes relationship between heat and mortality will persist and income and infrastructure AC innovation reduce vulnerability history offers a menu of adaptation cloud to crypto currency yourself moving and moving continuing progress and tech organic because of future that's low economic losses reducing steps deliver less progress. The models applied. The platform's advantage all causes an environmental collapse happens in other countries. AI updates are solved by existing tech line. Turning on problems are solved with current tech greenhouse will grow food more efficient air pollution and ready decarbonization of a whole set of attempts of carbon and ruin until the civilization law requires super intelligent superhuman until the space we are overcoming barriers that progress in our AI has been dedicated to contributed data to help. AI will not want to help us. They're greedy billionaires. Their environment is resilient mirrors. 25 rhetoric over state of fragility of nation can also quickly reduce insurance when higher humans have been cause of extinctions since 1500 ecosystem rebound looking for the best and elephants whales equals another 5,000 eggs every just one generation of the entire ecosystem recovery to the record of 10 years before so the US or the grew back nation does not repeat itself. It adapts. Platform collapse is fake. Control 25 analytic. Good.
Only thing skipped was the captive.
Correct.
Status.
Conditional.
Can you kick blanks?
There's no blanks. Yes, actually, yeah, we can kick the exact part.
T subs, case list.
Any AFF that affects over 50%, so any AFF that changes NLRP processes or how adjudication happens, any AFF that affects
what would that AFF, like,
combinations of industries that are similar, so like science workers, if they, or like manufacturing workers would be topical, sectoral bargaining is topical, granted new rights.
Manufacturing workers are half of workers?
What?
You think manufacturing workers alone are 80%?
Like if there's a combination of industries within manufacturing or similar industries, you can write advantages based on that.
You think there's 82 million scientist workers in the US?
Like
half the population?
all workers that have some aspect of like STEM are a substantial portion.
The AITA, the link part is from 2018. How does this new status quo monopolization?
Which link card specifically?
The Ibarra.
Well, it doesn't need to assume status quo monopolization because it says that the purchasing fees and the ability to pay workers on its own would collapse the industry. Like, like monopolization has no effect.
Collapse what industry?
Collapse AI, like development, small businesses, and etc.
Yeah. How have like these companies not like had substantially more profit in the last like 8 years?
They may have had more profit, but that's because they have not been having to pay the fees for workers and buying products and buying.
They are profitable now. That's the NEG uniqueness.
How does that collapse the entire industry?
A BARA evidence is pretty specific that the entire industry benefits, quote, from free, extremely cheap availability. It says whenever users demand compensation, that drastically reduces those profits.
Yeah, it dramatically reduces profits. So how does that collapse those companies completely?
Because the profits of those industries are important for AI venture capital. If they're not profitable, they're not going to get funding, they're not going to get investment,
The midterm
they're not going to
TA,
innovate.
the midterm TA, how does the SAVE Act guarantee a Republican win?
It would disenfranchise more than 20 million voters, specifically Black, Hispanic, and young voters who are almost entirely Democrats.
Yeah, where does this card say that it would like guarantee a Republican win in Congress?
The article
Yeah,
title.
the article title. Trump is fully oversaved because Black voters decide the midterms. I think that's about as conclusive as it gets.
Okay, sure. Why does that get horse traded with the plan?
The Baruti evidence is very specific to labor and very good. It says labor reform is, quote, impossible without horse trading, because it's unpopular, it's a democratic priority. And then the Gurdon evidence is even more specific to our current political climate. It says Trump has refused to pass any legislation without
Okay,
SAVE Act
sure.
passing on its into it, right?
The court's counterplan, can the courts create an antitrust exemption?
Is that?
It can rule that the exemption doesn't matter. That we could attribute figure out the plan, and so any law that interferes with it would be struck down.
Wait, like the status quo laws would be struck down?
If it interferes with the counterplan, yeah.
And what plan mandates that?
The updating doctrine to
Just-
reflect the plan is legal would.
The same reason why the
Actually,
plan overcomes antitrust, the same reason why the counterplan does.
We need to-
Oh, yeah, 1 second.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
9:30.
Sorry, I need to close a couple docs for my computer's footage. Okay, GC sent. Yeah. On the other design?
Is this being live streamed or is it?
No, it's just recorded. Jacob forgot
You
to
can
set it up
turn
on
it
time.
if you want.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm good for this. I kind of thought you guys were still gonna do the asterisk stuff. I thought this was kind of the
That we were tech flashing?
Yeah. Well, it's like, you know, you gotta do one DA or the other, but I was like,
Yeah,
I
I'd
saw
love,
the. I
I'd
saw
love to
the
say
thing.
both, but
Yeah, you can do that.
I think this is the first time he hasn't said it, given the opportunity to. So, yeah, it's pretty big for Zach's self-restraint.
Okay. Advantage 1. Advantage, sorry, you good for a word. Okay. Advantage 1, advantage 2. T substantial, T workers, play parts counterplan, the AI decide, and the midterm scale.
T substantial, T workers, towards counterplan, and the order was
AI midterms.
Got it.
Okay. Individual and unions are non-traditional union solves and social alignment and more money is directed into the hearts of which solves the advantage as they said no bioweapons, anti-bioweapons constitution, backroll, sideline structure, weaponization, traditional evidence, defense, assume democratic access to LLM, roll out the capital security, the constitution, political deterrence, civil war, Vincent and later world is wrong, doesn't assume involving civilizational collapse is not a buzzword, it's the impact, flash wars go, existential AI, hallucination, rapid, as to the first grade, counter retaliation, defense, assume mass integration, and model collapse, they said social aligned AI solves extinction energy acts after this begins 7 and deceiving if the probability of things is low, the magnitude is so large that matters forming side independent impact is an example of AI outside drop the internal liberating working the data intermediaries is key zeros every day having its prediction capabilities advantage to biodiversity causes solves extinction air water food insecurity threats and global breakdown that's used on no evidence first evidence is a matter because the US is key that's so the on evidence has created intelligence solves extinction solutions are required collective checks as the Yang evidence upsides it's not solved by existing technology. The whole point is human intelligence to use it for her evidence. Yes, we agree that AI alignment now is like beating billionaires. That's our argument to disalign it. T substantial. We meet functionally gives the right to join a data set to everyone you need. Someone is used it. Otherwise, nothing is second. Potentially every alternative plan is vacuum arbitrary. Workers include census girls 677 about to tell you entertainment future immediately effective minority words of the Italian to the YouTube as words to be stationary how you still are spreading in the dictates to determine the two doctrine there's something that doctrine and ready. There's different video doctrine the sheets of digital quality or content similar to the substantial or the meaning of because of pretty quality reporters on the size workers to be culture 9 workers in workers in the world these workers of photo and CLR 10 and 3 4 is mind workers to develop for be able to the words of limiting the real limitation of meaning the word more of the people not limited to reject arbitrariness and out the context limiting choice predictability your outside is grammar independent price strength and topic everything is whatever jurisdiction of ILS dependent define generally inserted below an ILS as to permanent government ILO 80 whether government's been in institutions or categories of securities it is adopted their limiting or rejected NEG hyperbole side by its authority the affects is recognition for the here to ability to vote English in the basic possibility the Alex here just says it's kind of functional limits and legal topic controversy bargaining out unions give valid verb process is strong the generics like states and rights maker president just as courts and marks other the words like bargaining word narrows and process is narrow tightly defined and workers are a narrow category it's also insignificant the rights of see power community audience and rights to not be TV because the rights are the same just a new group to them T workers we meet by actually classified for both like functionally the fan company's active data workers contribute the active side create a long-term data work the meeting content clearly there's a labor process side data work contributions so for the data worker has a competency they consider a contractor super 25 minutes are like they legally considered anybody contractor provides a contract creation workers that are the yellow and determine the influencery factors counters for these workers because contracts of employment that means influencing the workers are hired by contractors so it's 19 day corporation because the act the workers talk to the employees workers everybody gets a contractors they the contractor working away under contract hours because the employers right to not choose about their working anywhere if you want to do the fixed employees also for predictability or evidence for the Supreme Court of Pension functional limits classified from above last year to be is really possible knowledge to the limits within innovation kills greatest like the outside scope for peaceful and any initiative really possible people up the court kind of multi-actor and each age kind of plans are voting each year you can tell the outcome resulting in it are voting each future topic of the case artificial and the itself for with the itself internally the after process to be the kind of plans like they can down for the kind of I can put over another issue kind of seems to actually functioning kind of first doing this kind of plans artificial the evidence for which case to be that doesn't solve the authority of the FTC and the DOJ is the only one they create the antitrust except that if it's an evidence from
it links to their benefit obviously
it links to the benefit obviously because it's a federal authority so it obviously links to midterms and competence of corporate right is not regularly treated for the code of laws that we restored in the labor law to rights on each of the lawyers I understand the function of the labor organization can petition to formally action the right to refrain from participating in any activity with the constitution charging and city up and if the evidence is key reduced from AI community council meeting your application and let's me to manipulate the kind of plans against charged the only path and confidentiality is voter law to receive the constitutional rights every office with architects who are to the target office and when it's just solves that I just said bubble down collapses the industry or in 3-4 the bubbles long been striking parallels or bubble already section to the marketer to see this is serving the should even to the roughly hit the market the AR price also that's a training data comes down how much everything involved it's pretty strangled on it the information with the sharp to see much no link the plans are influence of marketing training creating data quality can market creation solves innovation so many things about regarding evidence and they regulate negative will be lost by yeah successfully development the solutions for flexible innovation so allowing production regulation or inevitable absentee half focus 11-13 the OBD includes advances from the AI right the center with the bill for the base or say AI innovation correlates like say lots of regulation search and correct innovation check marks and navigate overlapping compliances and navigate little traces like consumers concerns and that's very cool about Patrick information operating out the earlier and trading a tangled environment where the markets is that the winners are narrowly closing plans to create AI to shape for reach marketing locked competition for data quality also what costs and evidence skill efficiency more reliably, find different cheap prepare for itself, purchase all the industry lead 22 to purchase against companies involved with the use companies with apprentice listed RCE is ultimately to purchase here the web the grade to take 30% 2019 years long active data purchase usually contact company and average 17 to 40% of the budget potential process users and note if I think this is far ahead of technology to military then solution for the US has been able to be Berkeley with skill technology which is how companies figure how they culture to the rates and prediction China. What is the US have to go around these economics relies on many proxy indicators so that rather than average being 5G or like this over technology, maybe just important in China like 37 to 44 technology has been used since the Saturday on the right hand. Targeting 5G and they are really in the position trying to lower the individually and closer mentioned DMS and in geopolitics your connection times. As you can measure research by the number of the faster use the measures of the present R&D and adaptability like in order leadership and military goods or practice terms with the important political leadership of those federations and sharing started for revenue long-term income where the US has and advantage and metrics etc. When it's locked in there and 2021 is saying and the launch distributed the affordability or public and domestic public sponsoring the discovery or public strategies for about the other kind of economic system response to the opportunity to divest internal public property public is trying to avoid discussion prices and active rules of public is probably causing cultural support and independently to working class voters or Republicans raised or the trouble we deduction like the Republicans the right of the
Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that.
Strike that right yeah clearly self dealing with happening immediately no horse trading state actual office ever no horse trading mode 317 the same much dealing with lots of opposition Republican senators only lead refugees to create dealing with everyday belongs to the university and the Republicans also are unified as a role because they had the death of the house down hours 321 the voter sufficient and the Republicans was in Los Angeles the record speaker already performs in dissension purchase reducing the balance coalition over the years of educated British to the so trying to work in those voters to divert fires down on the sources to get it down 2026 and we will better lower turnout election they help them compared to the higher turn to the Democrats are lobby because it's possible that higher Democratic turnout the back over Republicans you really docs on from 413 the original elections really make it consistently increase in the war medicine elections are here because it ain't practically related to the election what really competition is downfall no link they only applies to the economy and other labor policy down at the single pair purchase issue and short 25 is because the political party and the political lines of the party change in mind the Republicans were explosive as if falling out of trouble a decision could the most reportedly relation logic tech this longer was Republican to deliver 25 to 26 years kissing had a sort of people now 32% for Americans to be the and lost the seats for the vacations of video for the LTF and Ontario progressively focused on getting pro AI candidates. Understand the actions, the midterms spent 25 gen AIs and headlights over the midterms of their citizens engaged summary solutions given trying to data center anything to ensure repeatability of the regional long term national station habits and biases to rather than the information cooking and actual solution for the 22 seeking information and AI by founder Democrats to check on Wednesday said Democrats are using little positive information to be EMP show the news community parts like each of their rich accountability the logging around Democrats against direction behind the bigger holdings back now it seems that the rhetorical denunciation of the Democrats had other hands on the fact that war on Democrats who control the Congress by passing distinction to opposition next to the Democrats about their targets of the Democrat and the single failure to advance their solutions no John Corbin 28-5 eating three balls at the 6th and NBC 10 the states over the consultation like community storage housing plus the ever for instance thousands of satellite centers and age 90 since that is just heading to the to be distracted is not expected direction the
Go back to the course now.
Go back to the first counterplan. The counterplan is first it causes endless appeal from rare-funded adversaries with Kevin 9-2. The decision on a remedy of monopoly in the internet every city being attacked Google fans to appeal the keys of your reports for your reports. Saying no King 24 the lawsuits derail the state laws regulating tech industry application. The first novel application of the First Amendment to censorship or restrict access to content undermine the free use of the courting knowledge of production fights led by the $1 trillion advantage. And digital monopolies create cascading cyber actually
You sending that?
yeah.
I'll start on
Sent.
Okay. Okay, good. Alright. Alright. Reasons to reject were counterplans that fiat multiple agents and conduct. Okay. The
midterms decide, you did not say Trump dies, correct? Okay. What was the thing that you struck at the very top? Was it layer?
No, sorry. The thing that I struck was I said if they're right about the impact Trump will steal the election, then I struck it.
Okay, makes sense. All right. The court's counterplan, the McCarthy evidence said you've tagged to say co-ops won't form if their right is uncertain. The warrant in this card is that if cooperation or cooperatives or companies or unions don't know what the existence of their right means, or if they don't know if that right is meaningful, they're not confident in that right. What about the plan makes them more confident about the right than it through the courts?
Sure. There's two Vincent cards in the 1AC that explicitly tie to this deficit. The first is the short one that says like Chill's organizing, which explicitly says that the thing that is preventing organization in the status quo is the lack of a safe harbor protection, because people feel as if the data cooperative formation process is anti-competitive, because it is.
Okay, what about the FTC and the DOJ create that safe harbor that the courts cannot?
It's literally their job. That's like what they do.
Like courts cannot mandate
No.
state safe harbor? Okay.
No.
Second plank of the counterplan that has the executive follow-on, why does that not result in the safe harbor?
We think that it's not like a mandate, right? Like if you have one that either it mandates the follow-on, then it's clearly just implementation of the app because you've used the actor of the plan to do the plan, or it doesn't solve.
Okay, interesting. The courts say no, Cardi, you've read this Kang evidence. What's the implication of lower courts in it's about state laws regulating the tech industry. What's the implication of that for plan?
Wait, sorry, can you say that again?
The Kang card you read
Yeah.
in court supplement says lower courts have derailed state laws regulating the tech industry. What is the implication of that for the
Yeah, I mean, we
federal
think that
court saying
Kang-
that they can have unions? Is that not preempted?
Well, no, we think that the card very explicitly is talking about novel applications of like the First Amendment, which we think that is applicable just because like lower courts have continuously not favored those things. We think the app is an example of like a creative
Okay.
First Amendment.
The card you read above it, the McCabe evidence, says that companies will get mad that there's not really a way to remedy their monopoly and they will sue. Why do they not sue equally against the anti-constitutionality of the AFF? Do they believe that?
We think that like durable fiat solves.
Well, the plan
Durable fiat solves.
No.
Durable fiat means that companies don't sue as a result of the AFF?
No,
No,
like,
but
as a result of
obviously they can't undo the FTC.
as a result of the court action, everyone will appeal that case, but there's nothing to appeal when the
They can appeal the
passes.
constitutionality of the DOJ and the FTC expanding their authority. No?
It wouldn't be court action, so it wouldn't be litigated in.
Okay, so if we win the second plank mandates that, then that deficit's gone.
No, because
Okay.
they would still sue to overturn the court case from the first one.
Okay. Tim. You don't need me to comment, right? Okay. After the Corn Too Early Black Swans card and before Swartz, there was an analytic about no link. AFF vote as other labor laws. What was that argument on midterms?
Yeah. The plan is only a subset of the data economy, other anti-labor policies drawn out the signal.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
405.
4 or 5. Set. It's the course counter plan, the AI just said, advantage 1 data, advantage 2 platforms.
Wait, sorry, can you see the order one more time? Okay.
Yeah, counter plan, courts, AI just said, advantage 1 data, advantage 2 platforms. What's this? Everybody good?
Yep.
Okay. The counterplan solves the Supreme Court ruled that data workers could collective bargaining between have binding legal effect on workers and employers with career evidence, use efficiency, deficit, impacts, and Judge K. It's an extension of condo. The first thing was theory. We get multi-agent counterplans that are good, ensure that gets them when competition is based on non-UTG parts of the res that test the active agent keyword. Prefer first round agent competition. Keep this in the game versus subsets that straight turn other generics. The absence causes comparatively forced counterplans to fill in like process, section, functional limits, forcing agent key, narrows and place the rest is can't. 3 education. Their intro obviates institutional choice, which is about to legal to education comes in 4. Alterations involve some choices. There's other questions which institutions comparative analysis and legal teaching local providing new knowledge framework consulting the word rights to define institution reality are defined by them. 4 competition to determine the legitimacy of our counterplans on theory alone. If the counterplan is competitive, then you should evaluate it normally. Our answers from the counterplan apply here. The court decides solves their offense, judicial power decides, or easy to cut into their offense versus even with egregious counterplans 5 is difficult. They also fiat multiple agents because they fiat like the court does not strike down the plan. They say do both. The counterplan alone is best because including the plan lets Congress take credit and does horse trading. They can't shield because the plan is announced prior to the counterplan, so legislators get full credit even under the permutations. They say do the counterplan. Hold on to the AFF must be Congress. Drop these are resolutional mandates. If they don't meet them, then you can vote neg on jurisdiction. They drop strengthen a strong might must be exclusively found in law that's exclusively Congress, not the courts. Styles 1 and C Christensen have not renewed cards here. Second and CBRs, they're statutory, and the right to bargain can only be protected through legislative modification. That's the evidence resolved. It's legislative, and D is substantially the right must be strong at present time. Courts lay announcement until June, which is insubstantial. I don't need reason to prefer because they drop that those are best in predictability guides, pre-tournament prep, which was what they said on topic county. They say from other issues that fails because it links to this side because it includes the plan. Also, there is no other issue, so it's a intrinsic voting issue because let the aspect out of order dissent when taking on new plans. Okay, the deficits. The counterplan just totally solves all the case. The first deficit was authority. Are you serious? The Supreme Court decides who has the authority to do anything. The counterplan does not all data companies have safe harbor protection, so it solves their only deficit. They have zero code for this, and their only warrant is the FTC, the DOJ, or community enforcement. Guess what? We preempted this by saying having a plank in the 1 and C that fiat the executive enforces the rulings. We get to fiat the DOJ and FTC. They say links to the net benefit. No shot. The DA links specific to horse trading on political bills. That would link in the 1 and R. And the AFF law, no court say the court decisions get horse traded in Congress. They say certainty. Zero link. At no point did the 2AC say the counterplan is uncertain. So certainty is just an FYI. The counterplan is perceived as most certain. Branch 28 and 8. This limits can allow section to be without the record. The court can look about branches produce something. A binding order actors now said the court supported previous numbers. In fact, influence the Constitution and critically important on Congress and President. More focus on short goods and private. Then the court focuses on long-term values and Americans become aware of because of positive vibes. This limiting symbols separate from political institutions beyond providing your support and drawing attention to the living issues. The court can force us to re-examine policy. Okay, they say lawsuit deficit. No idea what the link is. The plan equally results in lawsuits if an employer doesn't like the plan and they can sue about it. The counterplan solves it by having the Supreme Court immediately clarify that this is the law of the land and cannot be overturned. The directed card is that CBI currently faces legal challenges, which is solved by the counterplan, which clarifies that ambiguity. Okay, condo, it's good. 1 flex, no options remedy, expertise asymmetry due to the ass infinite prep. Dispel means one mistake is the auto law. Second, arbitrariness, non-rest theory. It's infinitely aggressive, unpredictable, and causal substance. It means the always reach argument and not the team. 3, innovation. 2 wins. 1 affirmative. You are to tie their hands. 4, not specifying an agent. Police politics and engagement. Condo is the only revenue. Now, defense routes it's good. Enforces smart time location, critical thinking, efficiency, it's level, speed, and T. Emergency return solve their offense. Dispel leads to our offense because the 2AC picks the 2 and R forces process pull up to force perms. This divides the case specific strats, and there's no definition, so it's meaningless. Worst case, 6 with the counterplan solves. Reversibility applies to non-res theory. They say the clog to set at the end. There's no impact to this. Even if illness happens, who cares? hilarious. This card is about Google trying to appeal antitrust laws in courts, which is obviously applicable to the counterplan, but the counterplan solves by clarifying the court position of the plan above and is equally linked to the plan. They say courts say no, what are we doing? The counterplan fiat, the courts say yes, they cannot possibly say no because of durable fiat. This also applies to the plan because they don't get fiat the courts, which means the courts strike down the plan, but not the counterplan. Okay, the AI just add. CCP controlled superintelligence causes extinction. 1 to take civility. The first to unlock superintelligence for all category working superior warfighting powers, including super soldiers, perfect bioweapons, and devastating first strike forces, preemptive nuclear escalation, not always on speed, nuclear charge to before AGI comes online, and their impacts are far off and inherently uncertain, and solved by intervening actors. That's turns advantage 1. Every AI bad impact is way worse when China sets the rules. 2nd, global authoritarianism. CCP will install 1984 sending sound in dystopia with mass surveillance, robot cops, and perfect lie detectors that entrenches global suffering, ending all value to life, and they have no defense. So China AI impact, so you know, it guarantees extinction. 2AC1 is the AI bubble. They drop that it's good. The free market is harmful for the fittest. Hype. Deflation means companies with poor innovation will read out profits, so only true pioneers can survive. That streamlines the industry, triggering a new wave of innovation. That's looks evidence. The app flips the script. It causes underinvestment in the less companies and benefits the wealthiest. True innovators will thrive post bubble. Roger 37 bubble. Deflating schedule is the very way every bubble does. They don't come to kill the internet survivors. We're obsessed with experimentation. A person worker the same. In data, the skill set describes is built on causation. Okay, now they say link terms. First link, large scale AI development is built upon cheap data. The plan enables data units to negotiate over and compensate usage over trillions of data points that seeks AI investment, which straight turns both advantages. That's Aria Ibarra and Noble for the 1 and T. First, cost. Licensing makes basic research prohibitively expensive. AI improves by chunking trillions of data points, which makes costs add up quickly. Trading basic model alone becomes the industry dominantly in 23. The licensing far from straightforward trading requires billions of lines of content. The scope of these many orders of action larger than any scheme in the history of American law, requiring short and providing meaningful compensation could be imposed on a bunch of work on the companies that would make up them or push all out. Second, enforcement. The app is to exercise in futility, which is called impossible to identify and negotiate with millions of owners to analyze data points. Inputs are untraceable and impose an infallible barrier to the industry. That's mark that as an analytic. Okay, third, monopolization. High cost, limit innovation. The companies with their own troves of data that enables firm consolidation. Market distortion. This turns outweighs the lock-in because the plan guarantees that the monopolization and high barriers to entry. Well, there's at least some uncertainty in this flow. Only massive corporations can afford it, which turns every advantage. The Gibbs 24 turning that observed that payment is for use which licensing would damage in the info exclusive rather than safeguard it. Yeah, companies argue that it's not liable to license all data rights to card licensing. That'll be practical favor big terms data and resources that the paying current norms come and the cost for setup firms that can just for the marketplace guard against domination against big firms. Okay, now their link turns. They say regs now counterplan the 19th government should not preempt artificial intelligence and preempt states who try. Link also outweighs the third one only our offense. Framing is to not dispute the link at best for all causes, but the 2AC had no defense to the rid of cost of the plans. The 1 hour we knew that should be struck down. That I was on time frame because the class happens before the benefits are realized. 325 starts much higher. Crash will hit the same time. Same moment reg and innovation starts to accelerate. Okay, all these impacts, all these the links turns a point to the same thing, which is a platform collapse. That's fake. And when they do, other platforms fill in. Mature 25, the Treasury holds the next wave will feel less abuse and be more like automated degradation, more AI, and more humble experiences. We'll also see lock-in services designed to work best. Instead of companies stack starting platforms, for example, you're looking at the end game of stuff platforms become unuseful because they give an inscalable toll road to their best is no longer premium upgrade, make it real than sub. Other platforms dominance as natural platforms, so they all less than becomes normal. They say data, or they say the blow black internal link does not enter or link. The plan is the regulatory restrictive response that Sun's development, that's the next portion, is priced in no blowback, tech will moderate backlash. 124 we may be living in. We can take our system, but doesn't mean backlash has been successful opening at Google. Meta and influence on regulation tech gives lip service in terms of the AI behind the scenes. Leaders lie about capabilities, minimize risk, persuading the public that people are versed in AI, talking about Slack or just from diversity issues, Silicon Valley resources, and to hire engineers and scientists. They say the alignment link term corporation does not matter for innovation for at least sufficient now. It's a uniqueness from opposition. Answers apply because small companies that fill in for worker discontent at big corporations. Okay, now lastly they say China, US wins now, US does win now. This circumvents all defensive platform collapse because even data collection isn't perfect now. It's not enough to cost the US the lead, but the race is close. It's cheaper to make AI in China, so the US can only maintain the lead via deregulation. That's field evidence. In 26, their defense contradicts the entire 1AC. One, it says they said innovation was stolen via on advantage 2, so they don't get to now say that it's booming and outcompeting China. Second, they said that AI is key to literally everything, so they don't get to now say AI is not key to everything. 3 years old, our system 2026, and assumes the most recent developments. Okay, advantage 1, workers will always prioritize their own pockets. Twissy said that they get paid. That's our point. If you get paid just for tweeting and posting on TikTok, you're always want to maximize your work. Corporations have to work over to you. Thus, they cannot solve any impact by making AI safe because unions won't bargain for those things or social good. Although those are long-term concerns, but they don't put food on the table. Their evidence is way too idealistic about what needs to happen, not what actually will happen. That's the last piece of evidence. No bioterror in the U.S. No one solve in the U.S. There are parts of terrorists, other countries will do it, so they can't solve. How could LLMs possibly give you a bio weapon? If that's true, the plan wouldn't solve because it doesn't ban LLMs. The social disruption's impact is meaningless. It's just buzzwords. It's defeated by uniqueness on the DA because companies have a profit incentive to create good and safe AI. Once you Walsh is a professor of AI, says that these are clickbait, doomsday headlines. They're safe safeguards in AI. No one wants terrorists to access their stuff, so there's also instances of bioterror, and no cards actually says civil war. They just basically dropped that no one will launch a nuke. If the military doesn't trust AI, it will never give it the reins to launch a nuke, so there's just no scenario whatever happens. They drop defense to warming and asteroids. The risk of an asteroid hitting is one in the next 100 years is 1 in 120,000, because Jupiter's gravitational pull is way larger than the Earth, so all asteroids go there. That's what evidence PhD in governance. The warming impact is also wrong, because missions are falling. That's the con evidence, so it will not cause extinction in the status quo. Okay, advantage 2. None of these impacts are intrusive to the U.S. This means a China-led order. Zero solvency, even if they perfectly regulate U.S. AI. They don't need AI for anything. We don't need AI for anything. Carbon emissions are declining. Food is more abundant than ever. The people on the moon without AI. Society is still progressing for hundreds of thousands of years with existing technology. That's weighing evidence. They just did not enter our environment impact defense. Nature is self-correcting. The dozens of formerly endangered species are thriving now. Forests are returning to ecosystems. Exist for millions of years before humans will continue long after we're gone. That's the most evidence who is a master's in science.
Are you good?
Yep.
I want to start on the link debate. The third link you said was monopolization. I guess I'm confused. Why does monopolization limit, or is monopolization limiting innovation is our argument? Why is this a link?
You cause monopolization by increasing the costs of training data, which is harder for small companies to pay those costs.
What card in the 1NC do you think says that?
The Albaro card, I think, and if not, the 2NC Reddit card. But
The NIPS card says that like training data can't be achieved without use. I guess like where does this assume like the cooperative model?
I don't know what you're saying right now. What are you talking
You
about?
read a link about like what AI training data, like what training data would happen, or what would happen to training data if costs went up. Where does this assume a cooperative model where you get to bargain over the price of it?
That's the whole
This is
point.
not licensing
When you bargain
data,
over the
like-
price, AI is trained on trillions of data points. So even if each data point costs a penny, that adds up to billions in costs, which means small companies can never afford it. Even the big companies struggle to afford it.
Okay, where have you read evidence that AI is not monopolized now?
That is our AI bubble good claps card
Okay,
in the 1C.
Okay,
That
that's
says
fine.
that when the bubble
Enforcement,
pops, that's good.
Why is enforcement impossible?
Because there's trillions of data points. We don't know where the data's coming from. We can't
There are
look into
trillions
an
of data
AI.
points now. That doesn't like increase that. Why is that a disaster to the plan?
We make it so that the corporations that are producing data models have to go through each data point and say where they got it. You bargain over each data
Why?
point. Or else how do you know that after being enforced? How do we know that data companies aren't using AI that they're not supposed to use?
What do you mean? The plan? Okay.
What if they illegally stole someone's data without paying for it? How would you know that?
Well, how would they steal data post plan?
Just acquiring the data, seeing what they,
how?
seeing
like
what they.
the cooperatives have it in like a system.
No, your stuff is when you post something on TikTok and get paid for it, then they have to pay to use that data. What if the company just took the data?
Because the way that the plan would work is because there would be a lock on the cooperatives would get the data first and then release it to the companies after. That's why it's intermediaries, because the data goes to them.
Companies could just scan the internet, scan all the platforms, strip data from it. That's what our cards say.
Okay. That's fine. The blowback turn you read big tech will moderate backlash. I guess I'm confused. Post plan, how would big tech moderate backlash?
Now this is in the SQUO why there won't be huge backlash and regulations, because those corporations have a huge control in government. They get to lobby, so regs won't pass. They don't really workers get unhappy. No one really cares because corporations are controlling everything.
Okay, so this is just a reason that more regs won't happen now.
Yeah, why there won't be backlash that freezes AI development. Okay.
It sent the orders midterms.
Pursuit of Donnie's dome triggers distinction. One, strategic stability. Third, perfect missile defense. Instant sure destruction. Russia and China will feel use it or lose it. Pressure to first strike. Whenever they still have a chance, will spirals into immediate nuclear war. Speed outweighs and controls the direction of turns case plus intervening actors. And black swans inherently reduce the risk of their offense because it's long-term about warming, biodiversity, AI becoming entirely misaligned, etc. Second is arms racing. Russia and China will respond by creating new nukes, especially for space weapons. Those create avenues for accidental escalation and miscalculation, which circumvent traditional defense. Third, they've dropped warming and pandemics, which turns case golden. Second, trillions of dollars from America's smartest scientists away from solving emerging threats, which is the hard tongue evidence, meaning they can never solve warming or biodiversity in the world of the Golden Dome. Now, uniqueness. 2AC1 was that a Democratic win is locked in. Conceded. This is our uniqueness argument. The SAVE Act throws a wrench in the Dems' plan to the path to victory that their letter evidence does not assume. 2AC2 is fiat solves. That's wrong. Fiat means the plan is enacted immediately, but the judge should assume that the AFF retroactively has to endure normal political processes to pass. That's best. One, neg ground. Any other interpret eliminates politics, bypasses horse trading, PC, and bipartisanship links. Politics is good. Key to timely real-world learning, research, and it's a key generic on a large and bidirectional topic, especially at the NDT when everyone is breaking news. Second is AFF ground. Otherwise, the AFF loses to a dissat that does the plan, but doesn't go through committee or violate procedural requirements for congressional voting. That's deadly and generic, and no AFF advocate responds to it. Example: counterplan. Do the AFF with the normal markup and congressional debate and constitutional legal procedures. Net benefit: violating these is unconstitutional and breaks norms in the Senate. That solves the case by doing the AFF without breaking the laws of physics. If that seems like cheating, it's a dissad to their interpretation. Third is arbitrariness. Saying if fiat solves this link is the equivalent of saying we don't like good dissads, which lets the AFF post hoc control the NEG's argument choice. Fourth is education. Links prove it's germane policymaking and labor bills. Lack of effective horse trading makes the AFF inherent, meaning that this is core negative ground. Ignoring politics is too utopian and undermines portable skills of labor knowledge into action. 5 is reciprocal. They get politics add-on. 6, no offense. They can specify a standalone or without debate in the plain text. 7, they have not justified their model of fiat on the 2AC, so anything new is in the 1 AR is unjustified because it's rebuttal. Now, 2AC3 was the SAVE Act does not pass now. This is our uniqueness argument. Their evidence says it does not assume the socialist utopian bill that is the AFF. Fiat requires the SAVE Act rights. Dems are forced to give in because of labor prioritization applies equally to the AFF. GOP would never support the plan. That's why the horse trade is logical. Dems could be persuaded. Davis 317 saving 7 Democratic senators could be won over by the bill. 4 Democrats have already voted for it in the House Ogles. 320 say 4 Democrats supported the bill. Passed in the House. Opposition to voter ID is not permanent. Jolonsky 319 Dems are not talking about opposed voter identification. Dems are generically supportive of voter ID. That I said well. The bipartisan center. If the GOP had more leverage, it's possible. Angela 315 faces difficulty moving to say bills are every sound sort of path. Unfortunately, Thune has very little leverage. Saving forward, we're getting closer. We do not have a lot of leverage. Now, 2AC4 was no horse trading. That's wrong. The plan's passage requires horse trading on unrelated political priorities. Part of the parties diverge on labor. The GOP would demand a concession, which is the Broody evidence. In this climate, that would be a demand to pass the SAVE Act. Their evidence does not say no horse trading. We have labor-specific and Trump-specific evidence. On the contrary, the link is intrinsic and certain. Beckel and 93 presidents cut labor deals with secure congressional support to get pet project labor included. There's not been a piece of legislation since the benefit of the Republican that hasn't involved horse trading. When a politician needs to get legislation, deals were cut from construction highways had started everybody nice horse trading, and deals were essential deals that deal making across the party lines and present illustrate votes for important legislation on issues both new issues require horse trading. And to get past labor reform, horse trading draws in unrelated priorities. Lawson, if it's after debate on labor reform, members from both parties said have policy solution considerable stop but not previously included the opposite horse political horse trading. That seems to be a good policy to get traded for. There's empirical support for the link. First, the NLRA Hool, 25 NLRA was part of legislative horse trading, and the FLRA Clark, 18 and the FLRA got accomplished after entry horse trading among lawmakers of both parties. Carter Matter, horse trade on the hill, Carter said Carter had to lobby lawmakers by horse trading on women's and Vietnam veteran issues, and recent labor tweaks to 2%. 17 HR 3441 would impact labor. The bill would be subject to political horse trading. That all substantiated that horse trading is an absolute requirement in this climate. In this political climate, that would be for SAVE. That's Gordon and Brady 316 Senate Republicans don't have to vote to pass SAVE. Republicans and historically used persuasion to get legislation passed horse trading on issues with left and Democrats agree the vote you have to push the SAVE legislation does not just happen. SAVE would not be lobbied by it means it's time to push for Congress pass. 2AC5 was SAVE Act versus Republicans. That is enormously wrong. Leads to voter suppression that cost the midterms and NAACP 26. Hold on to power ahead of the midterms election of November. It also causes the midterms impact. The site deleted of this card. I will say it afterward. SAVE for the disenfranchised U.S. citizens from voting. SAVE essential reserving the Republican control of the chambers after November 11th. It also guarantees the Republican midterms will win. 317 SAVE would block midterms MLAs for voting. Trump is a concrete strategy to undermine the election. SAVE would guarantee the midterms. 2AC6 was black swans. That's wrong. 1. They have said Dems win now. We have conceded that black swans is a double turn that they don't get. Second, it's priced in by our unique sevens. Third, they are unlikely outliers by definition, and there's no reason to expect them to hurt the Democrats. 4. Neg on presumption because the plan can happen tomorrow, and similar black swans could reverse solvency. 5. Rejection of 1AR warrants every time every thumper must be answered and must be carded in the 2AC to prevent late breaking. The base that got clash 6 black swamps are fake and bidirectional element 16. It's possible to predict tsunamis or respond when a financial crisis that make it free to and advance popular historians and law causes out on existing actual surprising notable names as is more and never came to Nixon was considered a creative piece of like Nixon was just able for election Bush had been drug driving in the Senate made headlines but did a little too affect the race. 2AC7 was that the plan is too small to send a large signal that's irrelevant for the link which is congressional horse trading though other labor bill on the floor now so they did not make this argument so no new 1AR on it. Now group 2AC8, 9, and 10 they're all solvency based. The link turns out the counter plan equally accesses so they're entirely irrelevant for it. 2AC8 was planned function to the GOP. They opposed the plan per the 1AC. 2AC9 is just big tech lobbying. They have no evidence saying that'll stop after the AFF. 2AC mitigated this with big tech backlash. And our links are says the AFF actually helps monopolies. 2AC10 is just ChatGPT educates idiots, which is just entirely wrong and does not determine the midterms. Now 2AC12 was 2AC11 was Democrats failed to check. They will not pass appropriations per. I want to see evidence. 2AC12 was no Golden Dome probably would not work, but that is our impact. Move on. 25. Defense is already so isn't because they were undecided for sure. Got to be partially defense block retaliation.
9:30. You said you were sending something?
No, the name of a card, like the site deleted, it was just like the second card on helps Democrats. The Diaz 317, it just was not in site format.
Yeah, wait, sorry, where did you mark the last card?
The last card was marked at retail, defense block retail.
Ah.
one advantage to the counter plan, the AIDA, the mentions.
Advantage 1, advantage 2, counter plan, midterms,
AI. No, AI dimensions.
AI dimensions, yeah.
Is everyone good?
We can't solve our impacts unions while working for high quality data if they are right about probability because they will pay more not going for advantage too, so it doesn't really matter if they drop the atom and all these cause extinction. So it's try or die, converting crises into info, feedback loops, constructs, cascading disaster, no defense in the 2 and C, yes, bioarterial impact on all these cause inter-existential bioweapon development, they ignore safety and pursuit of profit creating, pathways for weaponization, AI weapons debate, every countermeasure which said weapons doesn't assume that structural is found by international actors, but AI uniquely causing a yes, flash word, AI hallucinating causes rapid escalation, defense doesn't assume integration, college regard $75 billion deal that turns into avoid integration, lack of safety checks, AI spreads misinformation which causes trigger happy, which causes trigger happy military leaders, AI solves every existential risk, compiles information effectively, which solves tailor risk, that's McGinnis even climate change and asteroids are on terminal. McGinnis says that we solve all extinction ever, also concede climate change defense, which takes out the climate change impact on the midterm C, the platform's advantage not going for international innovation defense doesn't apply, it doesn't matter because price incentive is key for advantage 1, the counter plan, no, Judge King forces 2 ARs with kills, Afghan logic is just a buzzword, is more logical, cannot change, go Judge King, no winning, in Congress with the counter plan clearly cannot solve the AFF, only FTC and DOJ through congressional action can create an antitrust exception, that's Vincent evidence, Congress is key to act, the other the executive does not solve because that does not mandate FTC or DOJ action, only Congress says that Vincent if the executive first, it does not mandate FTC action, no reason why what the FTC is key, safe harbor, regulations only the FTC has jurisdiction, passive prevents fears of politicized enforcement, which is her law that Vincent they have zero evidence that the counter plan will cause FTC, follow on, but only we have evidence that Congress does, FTC is key, spirit trying to give an authority, rules and fears of the FTC is resolution, the FTC is going to have the explore the innovation, the industry calibrating, the ecosystem, the FTC work with our agencies, build standards, and causing senses, the counter plan is worse because it unless appeals from well-funded adversary system, copy evidence results of the court ruling will be infinitely litigated for years, which is the delayed deficit below. King says lawsuits zero novel applications of the First Amendment in court actions, no jurisdiction, not going for the counter plan, reject the argument, not the team, or any other arguments they made. Certainty is also key for advantage 1. The counter plan is not because it does not create an anti-terrorist exemption. It's a big court ruling that Tweezy. Then the Tweezy did say that all their evidence about court rulings broadly and labor law, zero evidence about data cooperative specifically, which means we have an issue-specific deficit that they have no cards on, but it's data cooperative, unclear, confusing processes, ruin solvency, clarity and right, the possibility of punishment, zero solvency, that McCarthy and Vincent drop, delay, decimate solvency because court decisions take time, durable, fiat cannot solve because the courts are ruling now, and because the courts are ruling now on the coke firing, and we do not know when they will convene again. They read a card that the next time the courts will convene is in June, which is the one in quote, courts violate card, months determine AI's path, working 25 day card, high courts come to determine whether American Senate should be locked down by 10 times or open to aviator second tipping points. Now outweigh this right now, while security even courts are on ecosystem, growth, losing, involved, and the AI drug, new record keeping a government on the board, very little, very little, possible level, because tipping point, the AIDA, there's no turns case, begs the question of billion below, I'm not extending impact defense, which answers global suffering, defense as the country, we've said innovation, things like gravity and disease, not AI innovation, we've said that China will not just overtake the US in AI innovation, AI is everything, but only the plan to last out, which was the case page AI is bubble out, pop, when it's capex, sales, every smash is worth in .com bubble to its phone industry, is rushing to declare they're integrating without seeing upside, which is source investment that's ordered from this month, bubble is not good, their evidence assumes they will deflate, drop all our evidence that it pops in this quote, which assumes the ratchet on evidence, pop, bubble, works 317 AI, get their center inflation bubble, bound to pop AI, following the pattern spending will unsustainable, we're going to have AI, suspending CC, to have a sales with the .com era, their evidence says AI is like the .com era, our evidence obviously says that it is worse, link turn, 1 is data quality, production quality, and quantity or depressed by lack of incentives, data trusts are drawing, filter for high quality data, that doesn't outweigh on time frame down above, even hallucinations is wrong, charts, when understanding hallucinations involved, paging maps, and the lead generation, training data, because these options that comprise the quality and disease, limited, reinforcing, quality, verifies, opposite, virus, single trace, platform, massive resistance, making people lose their data, competent quality, empirical studies, second is data sharing, concentration papers, data siloing, data cooperative, creative sharing, economy, which makes cross-sector if that's possible, that's bureaucrat, drop, 3, blowback, also drop, US regs make transfers to the EU impossible and prevent harsher regs down the line, both of which hamstring innovation. I'm not really sure, I don't really think that Truancy had an answer to this. Plan restores alignment, houses 23 data, trust, control, other hands, big text, subject to trust, line, relies, EDP, between EU and US, and then clear, critical framework for production, needs to transfer data flows, lots of benefit from the data-driven innovation, and the Truancy also had a card on this as well, skim every link card in Kansas doc, if they're about copyright or licensing, scrap them, the plan is compatible with that, and then how 25 data trust, and enforceability, open licensing to be combined with collective governance instruments, allowing these to transfer their rights, the other more, from the people can access data, including more complex data sets, individuals, delegate power management, DD, annex, self-determination, membership, permanent both, and the Truancy counterplan cannot solve because they drop AI outfits on case, Truancy counterplans are bad, they distort, opportunity cost, and all Truancy often makes it impossible to be after restart the debate in the 1 AR, concentration is happening now, their evidence about value share, not data share, only risk the plan is positive, yes, platform collapse, other platforms cannot fill in because there's no economic incentive, did not read the no, model collapse card, that's pretty bad for them, all their evidence is about 2024, does not assume recent AI monopolization, that past 2 years synthetic data fails, that's the 1 EC evidence that they conceded because they cannot train models because the data is recycled and it's junk. There's no innovation that's no innovation which answers to about evidence. Yes, high data demand that's Vincent now more than ever with new model shopping every day. Their card is from 2024, no risk aversion plan, solve data scarcity above, data is highly concentrated, Riders 24 provided. It says when it's private data, so our competitive big from better from models, easily chain up provided data as well becomes a clear so you require useful data from models, companies can be extracted from you co-better with farms and station new data system and also archive use over the years. The midterms VA, no intervening actors, cases, quake and deficits on the counter plan proof fiat clearly solves the link. It would still happen immediately with no horse trading, but if they win it, we've still read amazing evidence. Tracy Bobic answers the horse trading link because they have evidence about labor policy broadly from 2020, but nothing specific to plan causing the state act to pass. It will not pass ever, which solves the link. Democratic opposition is too robust and Congress is specifically indicts their evidence because Dems are quote too prepared to debate as long as it is needed to table the measure and several Republicans oppose it, even if 7 Dem senators can be persuaded they have no evidence that sufficient to get it to pass. The Ogle's evidence concedes that it is divisive in both chambers about a different version of the state act in April. Inserted voter ID opposition is relevant and still concedes that they won't pass because the bill broadly is bad, which was also inserted. Angela is our argument. Dems will infinitely filibuster, which was above. If it does, it pass. It helps the Democrats. That's the Browers card. It's fire. All of their cards are from uneducated random reporters, but we are a meta-analysis of years of elections. That's our point. On face, it looks like it helps Republicans, but it will backfire. Their cards are quoting Trump saying, quote, save after guarantees the midterms. Duh. He says that inserted again. Voter suppression, ID, and citizenship only hurts Republicans because Democrats are trapped in educated working class voters, making it guaranteed to backfire. And Republicans' lower turnout always favors Dems. Conceded 2020 and 2024 proves we've internally turned the DA. The Save Act blocks any Democratic victory, and their evidence is just quotes from Trump. There's no terms case. Dems can't solve any of the act because they have no authority in the plan. Is need kicked advantage, choose warning of pandemics, no extinction warning, withdrawal begins that AI upsets from data processing caps all existential risk with the office for no one, no speed first because it's bad frame, pushes extras back and you are arranging chairs on the Titanic or reactions it, and that was on case because AI model class is coming now. Impact defensive function conceded, kills us all the one in R can't and mad, laws of physics stand in the way, constellations require impossible data processing, first shot impact near zero, incredibly high risk for other countries, impact non-unique, Russia, and China are already ready now, zeros are army scenario, that's horrible evidence, Republican false turn, the economy is given down the wide open window, Trump will have a disasterism which overwhelms, that's a clearer evidence, the rest of the uniqueness stuff is zero because we are just talking them on the save act stuff.
midterms. AI just said advantage 1.
Sorry. Counterclaim, midterms AI, advantage 1.
Yep. We good? Okay. It'll be through a 3-0 and the counterclaim solves the entirety of the case that there's some risk of DA. If the company has the Supreme Court grant the protections that accompanies it would agree to get that worker CPRs. It's 100% of the case. The entire executive branch supports and enforces the counterclaim as a PA plank in the 1 and C. There'll be a 0 card in the book that says that Congress is key. Use of family deficits. It impacts it can't outweigh the deficit. The deficit is a joke. The counterclaim fiat the executive defers Supreme Court decisions, so it has to fiat the FTC and the DOJ. They have no card that says that the FTC and DOJ would not follow on from the Supreme Court. Says we have a card that says that the court can compel any other branch to do whatever they want. And we fiat that they agree to this. Simply the non-tolerant. If you conclude that the FTC and DOJ is key, the counterclaim solves those things. Second, the counterclaim solves the impact of the deficit. The reason why the FTC is key now is because the court has determined they have jurisdiction over state court protection. The counterclaim would change that and say courts can retain that authority and thus solve. They should have read a DA about separation of powers, but a deficit that the executive doesn't follow through on a counterclaim that fiat the executive does is just simply a non-starter, and there's just no way there's a link to this deficit. Okay, they say endless appeals. 1, no impact. Even if there's appeals, there's no reason why that means that counterclaim cannot solve. Second, it links way worse to them. They drop the employers would sue the FTC in the order of the plan, so it would have to go to the courts eventually, thus causing their impact. But the counterclaim cuts out the middleman and clarifies. The Supreme Court immediately says that this is legal and no one can challenge it, which means that only the counterclaim solves the deficit. It links worse to them. The fact that they didn't say approve means this is net offense for us, and solvency is a reason to vote negative. Third, there's actually 0 cards describing anything close to the counterclaim. No cards is that if the counterclaim happened, then it results in lawsuits. They're saying the lawsuits are happening now because of legal ambiguity, which the counterclaim immediately solves. They say certainty. Are you kidding me? The Supreme Court is the most certain and most certain actor in the entire government. They can compel any other branch to do anything as they want as a quote binding legal order. That's the Twinty Fontana evidence. It's uniquely true for labor. They drop their decisions have binding legal effect on how workers and employers can bargain. That's 1 and C correct. So there's just no shot that anyone can perceive the counterclaim is uncertain. They drop there's no deficit or link in the 2AC about how the counterclaim is uncertain. So that it's new. And the 1 year the counterclaim does do antitrust because of durable fiat. The plan doesn't do antitrust either, but you still assume the counterclaim over the plan overcomes antitrust. The counterclaim solves it in the same way because it fiats durable fiats. The plan does this. So the Supreme Court would just strike down any antitrust law that interferes with the counterclaim, and that was way more clear than the plan, which should only be done by the FTC and the DOJ. And there's not even this argument was not even in the 2AC. It was in cross-text, but not there. So it was just not going to be made in the 1 ER. Okay, delay. It was not in the 2AC. We said that counterclaim was delayed in the 1 NC. So it's simply unjustified and based in the block strategy is based in 2AC mistakes. So there's no way they get to take this now. I'm not entering these cards. They draw that there's no impact. It's June. It's like 2 months away. The African heritage claim has been true for decades. There's been monopolies in AI forever. And there's no reason why extension happens in literally 1 month. So the counterclaim is sufficient to solve the case. Okay, they did not say any perm. So solvency is a reason to vote for us if they win that. The litigation thing matters at all. Okay, midterms disad. Their only risk of offense here, no defense is terminal, so any risk outweighs mere perception of Golden Dome, collapse of stability, Russia and China. Fear the worst case scenario because if Golden Dome happens there, militaries will be completely obsolete. That creates immediate pressures for preemptive nuclear escalation, which ends all life on the planet. That's one heart tongue. And hoverness, our evidence assumes a word of AI, so no shot that can solve gold perceptions of Golden Dome. That answers their defense. Their cards say it's physically impossible or physically hard to produce the dome. Not that it doesn't cause reactionary spirals, and that is actually impossible. And so there's only risk that more funding can cause it to happen. Okay, the link extended here. It shapes unique sphere. Outcry Berkeley 10-0. Fifth passage requires horse trading on unrelated political priorities. Parties that verge on labor. That's the GOP. The GOP would demand concession. That's the Rudy evidence. In this climate, they would demand pass the Safe Act. The link is intrinsic and certain labor reform requires forced trading proven by the NLRA and the FLRA. And that empirically includes voting rights, which is the Safe Act. It's one of our Gerson is super specific to labor because the NLRA thing I just explained above. That's the one in our Lawson card. That also sanctions horse trading is an absolute requirement, and this political requirement that would be forced safe. It's the only thing that would mollify conservatives. And the GOP is trying to find a compromise now. That's the Gerton and Bray evidence. Fiat does not solve the link. Drop all theory. Fiat means a plan is enacted immediately, but the judge should assume the AFF retroactively had to endure normal political processes to pass. That's best one net ground. Any other interim element politics, bypassing horse trading, but PC and bipart links politics is good. Keeps time in your road, learning research, and they said it's key functional limit on the topicality. Second AFF ground. Otherwise, the AFF loses the DA. That plan didn't go through committee or violated procedural requirements, so the AFF will always lose. 2AC Bobic doesn't answer anything. And also, Nika's claim if it won't pass now, the plan requires massive horse trading to get it through the finish line. Drop that Trump physically won't sign the AFF, which is totally fiat until the Safe Act is passed. And the AFF has to come as a result of the AFF. That means all the relights are totally irrelevant because writing horse trading shape uniqueness. That opposition is our point for why I would only pass after the plan. They say fact does not help Republicans. Are you serious? They're warned that Dems are frequently more highly educated, but stop important one and see and one warns about black, Hispanic, and youth voters silencing, especially college students. Our evidence is that the bill doesn't affect just 20 million voters based on illegal ID, legal name changes, and ability to find their birth certificate, which are mostly Democrats. Their evidence says that lower turnout means Dems win, but not if lower turnout. It's only the Dem base being crushed. I'm highlighting to the 1 hour NACP evidence. Hold on to power have the midterm elections in November. Safe stop people from voting. Save the black community ability to vote. Choose safe from voting. Demand proof of citizenship before voting. 22 before they make a bill. We cannot really access to some documents. Okay, mark the card at documents. We all agree Dems win now, so this can only be offense for us, so there's no chance of Dems winning more. Okay, the impact defense is wrong. The perception stuff is bypassed by physical constraints because there's always a risk of it. You never know. It's not possible. And our link is about really perception. Okay. The AI just said, conceded U.S. innovation is high, locked in. Welcome to the tunnel. We'll never overtake the U.S., which said that was our 2AC card. They said we are way ahead. The U.S. will always out innovate China, which means that any AI good impact is solved by the scroll. The plan is not key. 2 and C plans, or reach direct argument, not the team, reasonability. They said on T, it applies to non theory. The impact is stuff that's cried out. Okay, that was a massive deficit. They did not solve monopolization. They dropped that they impose permanently high costs on lower companies who can't afford to compensate our workers for their data, which means that only the big companies can survive, and they increase monopolization. Let's have a straight turn to the case. They dropped that unions will bargain over a safe AI, which will be all the advantage. I'll do that now. Okay, presumption, they drop that unions only care about money. They're going to make it as expensive as possible, and they're always going to extract the most compensation they can. So only big companies can afford it. This is a straight turn to their only advantage. Data quality is an odd cause for the app because they don't care about data quality. They only care about compensation. No data monopolies exist now. The bubble will pop it because the monopolies that aren't innovating will lose when the bubble collapses, which solves their thing. There's zero impact to data monopolies in the 1 ER, zero impact to bioterror, the job they can't solve in other countries that aren't things solved, LLMs are inevitable. They're trouble with LLMs, which will always exist after the plan, so they can't solve bioterror.
Wait, did you send the highlighting?
Yeah.
It's just the gray?
The blue is 2 and R, the gray is
Okay, gotcha. 405.
Can you get the counterpoint in case there's a phone? Can you just get it?
cards to point to on this argument. They have read a card that the next time the courts convenes in June, which is the 1NC courts violate card, but you should prefer evidence that says that months to terminate AI pass, which is the court in 25 card, but you should really prefer any of the 1AC internal link evidence that says that every second we wait is bad. The second deficit is certainty. It's key for advantage one. Any conception that there are objections to the plan by the federal government kills organized because of your antitrust retaliation. The counter plan doesn't do this because it does not create an antitrust exemption, which is the internal link argument that we have made via the Vincent card, which means that even though the Supreme Court is the most certain entity, it doesn't matter because it's not an FTC antitrust violation. They dropped that antitrust law is uniquely key, not just federal follow-on, because all of our cards are data specific. That was the card that Alon read in the 1AR. Like, I don't know what to say. You dropped it specific. The midterms decide. Honestly, the tutor impact work was despicable, and you should definitely punish Kansas for a drop. That the speed dropped the speed bad frame. It means either we access it or you can't give a decision that midterms kills everyone first. The impact defense was functionally dropped, which kills the top of the speech. You can't end mad because the laws of physics all stand in the way. The constellations require impossible data processing. First strike impact is definitely zero because it's incredibly high risk for other countries. The only defense was that other countries cannot know for sure. Yes, they can. That is why it's called a law of physics. They will not already be able to do it, but they also dropped that the impact is non-unique because Russia and China are already ramping up now, which zeroes any of their arms racing existential risk stuff because it's literally the status quo. The midterms is that it's as close to zero it could get to. You should feel comfortable voting AFF on presumption should they drop to begin this evidence that the AFF solves every existential risk ever, so there's no opportunity cost voting AFF. Everyone knows presumption flips AFF to the NEG introduces a counter plan. They probably should not have done the same act. You need to trick because the ad quality is a complete crush for us. So the 1AR felt like a minute here versus 15 seconds of the 2NR. The 1AC voting answers are horse shadingly because they have evidence about labor policy broadly for 2020, but nothing specific to the plan causing the same act to pass. It won't pass ever, which solves the link. Democratic opposition is too robust in Congress and specifically indicts their evidence because Democrats are co-prepared to debate as long as it's needed to table the measure, and several Republicans oppose it. Even if 7 Democratic senators can be persuaded, they have no evidence that is sufficient for it to pass. The August evidence concedes that it's divisive in both chambers and about a different version of the SAVE Act. In April, they dropped the 1AR highlights it's about a different bill, not the SAVE Act. You can see that it's broadly bad. None of these cards substantiate the horse-shooting impact. Even if they win the counterplay, you should kick it and vote AFF on the SAVE good because it guarantees the damn victory. Democrats win now. It's all offense, and it's a reason to vote AFF on presumption because you include Democrats win now. There's no reason not to. It's good. That's the Bowers card is fire. All of their cards are from educated random reporters. When we are a meta-analysis of years of studies dropped on face, it looks like it helps Republicans, but it will backfire. Their cards are quoting Trump saying the SAVE Act guarantees the midterms. Duh, he says that. It's not a NEG argument. You dropped all of the 1AR highlights again about these cards. They basically dropped a straight turn to the disside. Voter suppression, ID, and citizenship only hurts Republicans because Democrats have attracted and educated and working class voters, making it backfire. Lower turnout always favors Democrats. 2020 and 2024 approved. We've internal link turned the DA, and the SAVE Act locks in a dumb victory. New second highlighting is completely irrelevant. There's no reason that the new 2NR highlighting is completely irrelevant. No reason that the black vote swings the election. Drop that it limits Republican votes just as much as it clearly cancels out the act. Look.
Go back to the counter plan. Read this back, quote habituation.
I'm going to go back to the counter plan. I'm going to quote the Tracy back to you. 1% risk of delay deficit outrageous use of the DA and genuinely zero. Fiat is key. Anything other than immediate ratification lets motivated elite manipulate the counter plan. CBI is the shortest and only path to evade tipping points.
Line from the 2AC.
Line from the 2AC. No, it was not labeled a delay deficit. But the 2NR does not give you any reason that it's fast.
And 1%
Like,
risk is again.
it's the only argument that it wasn't in the 2AC. They said no impact, but like, duh.
Good debate.
Good.
Wait.
NEG cards are sent.